You're listening to Voices Beyond the Wall, New York Prison Talk radio show, coming to you live from the Vassar College radio station, 91.3 WVKR FM, Poughkeepsie, New York. We just went to our station identifications, and now we're back on the air. So who we have in the studio? Eddie Williams, Mike. Mike, I forget your last name.
My name is De Niro.
De Niro, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Robert De Niro's cousin, right?
I get that all the time.
And you got Ernest Hendry, and you got one of your co-hosts, Michael J. Love. I'm glad to be here. No, not at all. Can you hear it? Not at all. Let me see. Turn it up. 1, 2. Yeah, I hear it now. Thank you. And going back to that answer, and sorry for the disruption, but we're just trying to get refocused. So I was talking about Job 42, right? When he said, I have heard of you. So what he got was two revelations. He had a revelation of who God was, and because of knowing who God was, he saw how ugly he was. And that's what it was like for me, man. I'm saying I saw how ugly I was. I'm saying the kind of choices I made, the kind of values I had, man, that my life was worthless, and I alone was guilty for that. My choices alone. And I think that perfectly positioned me at the proper place to make change, or to position myself to pursue Christ, so the change could be facilitated in my life. If you can't face it, how you going to fix it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right.
You got to be able to face what the issues are in your life, and I find a lot of brothers, they're not, or sisters, they're not ready to face the issues, and they're constantly giving power away by blaming other things and other people for their situation, and maybe on some level that might be right.
Yeah.
But when you give all power away and all blame like that, take no responsibility, then you're not really in a position to really facilitate no significant change in your life. So, there was no particular scripture for me, Mike. It depends on where I was at on my journey, and different scriptures was illuminated during my journey at the particular time when I was dealing with certain things or going through certain things.
Did you believe those scriptures were a way of kind of like maybe forgiveness towards yourself and others?
Well, the forgiveness, grace always attract a man who knows what he deserves. Under the banner of justice, I knew exactly what I deserve, and anybody know that. So when you're confronted with justice, you don't want justice. You want mercy. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Most people don't, when they have option to having mercy, don't ask for it. No justice. You know what I'm saying? They want mercy if they can. The challenge is getting to a place, Mike, where we learn to appreciate mercy and we can reciprocate it, living in a way that shows that, you know what, I appreciate this. Living in a place of gratitude. You want to try this?
Someone's calling. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We got somebody calling in. I think they're finished. Go ahead, Eddie.
A scripture that stood out to me was the exact one you read. Amazingly enough, how tight this circle is that Mike Love had mentioned who my wife is going to be before I actually married her. Amazingly enough, furthermore, I grew up with Mike Love's family, his in-laws. I grew up with them. And they were a Christian family that was in our home. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have this relationship with Christ today. Because everything they talked about, I saw when I was at the bottom. When my mother told me to start reading the Bible, I got it then. John 3:16. For God gave his only begotten Son, whoever believeth in him shall have everlasting life. I got it then. But the one you just read about if we confess our sins, he's faithful and just, I got it. That was the one I stand upon. Because I know there's going to be times when I'm falling short. And because I fall short, the one thing that happens is I have to move forward in what Christ would have me to do. So standing on who Christ is in our lives, but more importantly, not only who he is in our lives, what he has done for us already. I don't have to try to figure out. I'm glad I could read and understand the book and know the ending already. I know the ending for myself. So all I have to do is act accordingly, and that's where I'm at. So, yeah, those two scriptures stood up. But when you read that today, I got an understanding who I was, where I was at, who I am today. And I used to think crazy things in my head, and I just think those things aren't as crazy. If I do, I don't condemn myself for it. I just say I'm part of the human process, and the suffering's there, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, well, to me, it's that scripture, to whom much is given, much is required, because just like I mentioned before, and I feel like I have been blessed to have been given the opportunity to have a second chance. So that scripture resonates with me because I feel like because I have this second chance, I have to give back so much, and that's a scripture that resonates with me. That's a special scripture to me. I don't know what it is. Mike said it's in Luke, but I'll find out the exact scripture. That way, when I do quote it, I could just say this is what it is. But I always just say, to whom much is given, much is required, because that means a lot to me.
All right, thank you guys for that. Seriously.
Man, thank you very much, man. You just went off. You find that when a person comes out of such a destructive history, as a lot of us came, me and Ernest, especially in my time where women were sexually objectified, where I could not see them within the beauty and splendor of their humanity, I can only not could only, but what I tend to do is reduce women to the sum of their sexual parts. You know what I mean?
Right.
And use them as utilities for my own coarse and base desires.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, you find a lot of brothers who are listening now, some of them who I know. You know what I'm saying? They say, Mike, it's a problem for me. You know, that's just the way I am. And that's how it was for me too. But God had to deliver me from that, because I want to be holy and pure in His eyes. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like you get there and you arrive and you say, okay, I'm arrived, I'm there. No, it's a continuous work. You know, even we're having my privilege of being back in society. You know what I'm saying? I'm still have to learn how to be prudent, you know what I'm saying, and how to exercise that. And I do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to do it in prison. How to be how to be prudent and sensitive toward people. How to realize that it's not about me. When you have those self-absorbed inclinations and you hurt people. And there's already too many people I've hurt in my past that I can't take it back. I've hurt my children. I can't take that back. I hurt women that I was in relationships with, you know what I'm saying, who were good women, but I simply didn't see to have the capacity to appreciate and affirm them for what they were. Yes, so now that I'm a married man, and God has blessed me with His daughter, you know what I'm saying, man, and I just want to continue to show that I'm grateful every day. Every day that I can wake up and go to work, help my wife get on her way to work, because she leaves before I do at 5:30 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Make sure she has everything that she needs. The car's warm up. She's on her way. And then I can do that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a privilege for me to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just glad that I can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because often being in prison is a place, if a person's not careful, can engender or foster parasitic behavior, or either reinforce that already. Whereas you have people who's just used to getting, used to receiving. And if they give something, they're not necessarily giving because it might be in the heart. It's not peculiar to prison. This is anywhere in society. A person might not just give because they want to give, because there's strings attached. You know what I'm saying? But when you have someone who enjoys giving and who enjoys blessing others, that's a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? And the joy of blessing people freely as a returning citizen is an overwhelming truth. You know what I'm saying? That keeps us humble and joyful. That's why when you see us every day, we're always smiling. We're smiling like we had a secret, because we do. Because we know where God brought us from, and we know we didn't have to be here. Go ahead, Mike.
No, so to be honest, and actually backtracking a little bit, you said the objectifying women sexually and stuff. And to be honest, you know what? In my opinion to that, with this music, and I don't know, I'm sure you guys don't listen to the music nowadays that really goes on with, these guys from Chicago, they end up in Cook County Jail, and then, because of gang violence and stuff, and they're I do actually a lot of behind research of what is the motivation, behind the high crime areas too, and and getting back to the sexual objectification of women. A lot of these songs do say honestly, it's a lot of nasty things, and you expect, if you're in the generation, kind of go along with it, it's a quote unquote norm and the natural thing to do. So to me personally, if you just want my opinion, I think it's gross. I don't think women should be ever, disrespected in a way, where, they should be feeling less of who they are and what they should be. And to be honest, if you want my opinion, it's also now, especially because I have a sister who's 14.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she has an iPhone. Oh God, what was it, the 8S or something, or 7? And I'm stuck here with the 6S, and I've always given up my stuff to my sister because because I've been raised in a household which, if giving back
That's
a little
good,
my
Mike.
background of myself, I'm Italian, so the background is to respect women, to give them love and
That's
affection, and to those out there who don't try to do it, or they it ended up bad because it was the one night stand or whatever. Like, I think people should realize one thing, and it's that always respect women, or even anyone in general, because at the end of the day, we all go through things that we don't tell a lot of people. But to the women who get looked at as a sexual manner, and listen, being on a college campus, I've seen my fair share of catcallings around campus, and
Yeah.
I said, dude, you're pretty disgusting for doing that. Like,
I like that you call them out on that. Go ahead.
and honestly, let me tell you, a lot of my friends, because I also have 2 other friends who have been raised in an Italian background to respect women, this and that, and they've been, they've always like, like, I don't want to do that, that's not my type of thing. But sometimes they'll do it here and there. But I'm like, dude, like, do you hear yourself though? Like, you just, sexually just said something about a woman. Listen, it's not. There's a difference, obviously, between sexually, like identifying woman as like a bad thing versus giving a compliment. Saying, oh, she's beautiful. I wish I could be with her. See, that's the difference. Like, with this music, it's just all degrading to women, and I don't want that personally. Even as my sister that looks on these, on Instagram, Facebook, all these things, like, I hear these things, and my dad, honestly, my dad's a very, like, he's a very nice person. He's composed. He's very, he's very nice. But to say the least, like, when he hears those things, he's like, Cheska, he's just like, Francesca, this is disgusting. Like, you're a 14-year-old girl. Of course, that's the quote unquote norm of society, is to be those people and not be yourself. See, the problem for me is that when I especially got out of high school and went to college, finding yourself obviously is the one thing. People find themselves in a different way. And sadly, seeing you guys coming out of prison to find yourself, which is maybe sometimes good, because not everyone goes through the lifestyle of, oh, I'm going to college, or I didn't go to college, I went to go have a minimum wage job. Like, they found themselves that they can and will do better because they put themselves to that change and within their mind. And personally, if I may ask you guys a question, and this can be one that I hope that it could, take into consideration for a lot of young women who do listen to this, with the sexual, the catcalling and all of that to women, like, because I know, Henry, you have a daughter, correct? I don't know, I don't know if you put strict, rules, regulations, and you have 3 daughters, am I right? 3 granddaughters. 4 granddaughters. Well, that's a lot of great. That's a lot of girls. And then do you have any daughters?
I have one daughter.
One daughter. Okay, so obviously this is a guys talk right now. So, and to those who are in prison and who do have girls, and they can't, they can't help them, guide them on the right path, and these girls have to be on their own. What do you say, like, to those, like, social medias that that encourage that type of behavior to solidify women in negative ways?
Well, go ahead, Eddie.
First of all, we shouldn't allow our society to dictate who we are as individuals. Too often, these claims are being made because of no one is absolutely sure of who they are, and they're trying to identify themselves with what they have. And the excessively explicit things that are going on in one's life is to make them feel better. But the only thing that it does is brings them down further and further. I understand the industry and people wanting to make money, but in my opinion, at no given time should one demoralize women, because we all have mothers, aunts, sisters, brothers, wives, nieces, granddaughters. So in my opinion, as yours, I wish it would be something that wouldn't continue. But once again, it's happening just based on how one feels about themselves. Mm-hmm. Mike talked about a boogeyman before. And the boogeyman can be created in several ways. One way it can be done is by self-debilitating. I'm doing these things so I can feel good with my friends, but when I'm alone, who am I? I make this music to make a little money, but when I'm alone, who am I? I got the money, but where's my self-worth at? So for me, I totally agree that it should not be done.
Well, first of all, this issue transcends all social class, right, Mike?
Correct.
And the Me Too movement is a manifestation that this reality has been consummated in our age and has gotten to a point where women are not taking it no more. All right, so it's unraveling. So all the things that males, because this is a patriarchal society, have gotten away with, have managed to hide. You know what I'm saying? Now it's coming to the forefront. So now there's people, men that we might admire, have a lot of respect for, and we see that and confronted with their own power and their own privileges. You know what I'm saying? That they have taken advantage. So Harvey Weinstein is, to me, he's just like, what's the other Bernie, the Bernie Mac, what's his name?
Bernie Madoff?
No, Madoff. There you go.
Yeah.
Remember Bernie Madoff? The money that he took was obscene, right?
Correct.
It was obscene. This guy Harvey Weinstein is like a Bernie Madoff in terms of with women.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So let me say this, right? Tyranny and abuse is not merely confined to the sexual realm or the gender specific reality. You know what I mean? It permeates every aspect of our society, and I think our society has chosen to be blind about it. Even as I'm talking now, we know that in prison there's abuse that goes on, right? There's abuse that goes on where you have these officers who can use their power and their privilege, I'm saying, to get away with some bizarre, sadistic kind of acts of violence against those who can't protect themselves. And they know how to work the system where they cover it up. And though the system knows what's going on, because central office know what's going on, they like not to deal with it.
Correct.
Because, first of all, this guy here is a criminal. I started looking at it. He victimized society, so whatever happened to him should happen to him. Right? So taking advantage, tyranny, rather it's in the prison system, or rather it's a men on power of institutions where they have women up underneath them. I'm saying, no matter how you look at it, we teach in our society how to be tyrants, how to be a nation of tyrants. And when people have their little power, whether it's a student, you know what I'm saying, in a classroom, and he's charmed and liked, and he's a bully, you know what I'm saying, he used that to take advantage. No matter what level you're looking at, the problem is the condition of society, the condition of our hearts as humanity. You know what I'm saying, we no longer see people, I'm saying, in their value and the fact that way that God has made them. We see them as things. So rather you're sexually objectifying women for that reason, or rather you're objectifying a man so you could rob him, or rather you're objectifying another person so you could sell drugs to him, or rather you're objectifying another person just so you could bully him in the classroom, it comes down to the same thing. The question is, why is people so abusive?
It's probably a community or societal thing where it's like, oh, to be a man, you have to kind of objectify women in a negative way, and as you see, sometimes with, music and the things that they say, or, movies, sometimes the macho guy, I hate to say, and God forgive me, but, they smack their women and, or they say negative things. And to me, I say to myself, you're not tough. I hope you know that, because I'm going to tell you right now, prison, even in prison, I think I've heard some things those men don't tolerate that crap. And if they hear that, a
lot of brothers ain't with that.
Yeah. And honestly, and you know what? By no means, exactly. Thank you. It's really sad, when you have to see women give their all, give their heart to a man who, in some cases really doesn't mean, a lot to them in their lives.
That's a fact, Mike. That's well said.
The thing that has to happen is transcending those negative images in our minds, and the more we put them out there, the thing that has to happen is I'm not that person. There's a book that's called The Four Agreements, and in dealing with it, one thing is saying, don't take it personal. The low self-esteem issues is where everyone is at for the most part, to talk about the things that are there. So if we don't wear it, it doesn't become who we are. Mm-hmm. The great thing I was told was with the fashion when I came out of prison. So I was ready for everything that was there. It's old hat now. It's not something that surprises me. So people are doing it to themselves. There's no reason for the clothing to be the way it is, but the bottom line, that's where it's at. If it's not in your focus, if it's not in your mind to do those things, you won't be objectified. And so each individual has to make up their mind about what they want to do, how they want to do it, and because they need to honor it. Okay?
And our attempts to create utopian societies
Oh my goodness.
have failed.
Yes.
We have tried to do this thing by isolating God out of the social equation of culture, human life, right? And create these utopian societies. But man cannot outlive or outperform his nature.
Say that again.
Man cannot outlive or outperform his nature. He's constrained by his very nature. You know what I'm saying? To be destructive. Sure, there's going to be decent people among us.
That's right.
And sure, we want a society of people like that. You know what I'm saying? Sure, there's going to be people who are mature, who are intelligent, who are morally upright. You know what I'm saying, man, who are become esteemed contributors to society. Sure, that you want that. But you're going to always have the good with the bad. There's always going to be those who have different experiences. A lot of the kids I'm working with on a daily basis, right, are kids who grew up in the hood. And nobody cares about the kid in the hood.
Nope.
These other more privileged and affluent communities, they don't care about them kids. Only time they care about them kids is when they grow up to commit a crime, and now society vindicates itself by you saying, see that? That's who we made prison for. People who grow up and do things like that. But yeah, we never had no proactive devices in place because we know there's some fundamental, there's been the collapse of family structure, the collapse of fundamental institutions to these communities. And we know that without those things in place, that no community can do well. You know what I mean? But when these kids grow up, all of a sudden now we didn't have no resources to help these kids when they was young. But now we have a bounty of resources when it comes to criminalizing them and incarcerating them. So it's a double standard. You know what I'm saying? The social politics of one skin pigmentation in our racially charged society often determines how one's going to live, right? But it doesn't have the last say. Do you agree with that?
I agree. 100%.
There's people who make decisions that transcend that and haven't allowed those negative things, you know what I'm saying, to define their destiny. Then there's others. There's others who feel powerless and feel like, the only thing I can do is be a criminal. The only way I can do well is I'm out here slinging drugs. The only way I can do well is I'm out here, man, throwing bricks. There's people who buy into, I call it, self-sabotaging way of thinking or self-sabotaging worldviews that makes transitioning into a criminal or to a person who embraced criminal values very easy. So you come from a community where you had some foundational things in place.
Right.
You know what I mean? And these kids didn't have none of that. His mother, you know what I'm saying, might be on crack. His father might be in prison. So he might be raised by his maternal grandmother, you know what I'm saying, who's already stretched in her resources and can't really afford to give him the time that he needs, but does the best that she can. And yet he's seducing to the streets, the language of the streets, the culture of the streets. You know what I'm saying? And that's all he knows. But now when he grows up and he becomes mature in that kind of lifestyle, let's say it like that, now we don't have the problem locking them up. Now we want to write them off. Now we want to act like we as a society had no part in that. Are you aware of the what's that? What's that report that came out about Lyndon B. Johnson? Kerner Commission. You ever heard about the Kerner Commission?
To be honest, I think I've heard of it, but I don't remember the details.
Man, you want to get some lessons on history and how that history reverberates into our contemporary experience now? Read the Kerner Commission. Lyndon B. Johnson, the president,
Correct.
You know what I'm saying, after a series of riots had occurred in different inner city communities in America, I think it was 7 different cities, he ordered this commission together to answer 3 questions. What happened? Why did it happen? And what can we do to make sure it didn't happen again? So this esteemed body of men and women, you know what I'm saying, who was from prestigious backgrounds, you know what I'm saying, very intelligent, very gifted people. You know what I'm saying? Some was black, some was Latino, but mostly white, right? You know what they said the problem was? They said it was not the communists as people thought it was. It was not the meddling of some foreign power. They said the problem of what's going on in the ghetto is white America, because white America has created the ghetto and sustained the ghetto and have an invested interest in keeping the ghetto the way it did. And they said the only way to change this is to do this and to do that. Lyndon B. Johnson never, ever acknowledged the report, though he appointed the commission. And the things that they recommend was never, ever implemented. So there's been other riots like that, inner city riots, right, with similar recommendations. And guess what? Never been implemented. So it's almost like there's a vested interest. In other words, what I'm saying to you is a relationship here. Black community, white community. And that relationship makes the ghetto or inner city communities a reality. You know what I'm saying? And it's our problem. It's a society problem. It's not a black problem. It's not a white problem. it's a society problem. Until we begin to do things drastically to offset these kind of challenges that these inner city residents are confronted with, we're going to continue to have the same thing over and over again.
Correct. And actually, I just want to say one more question because I know we have 5 more minutes till
Oh, yeah, go
calls start coming in. Just talking about the drug and opioid epidemic that's been going on within the country. Whether it doesn't really have to be about any certain type of people, but just generally, if I can ask, because I had actually lost a high school classmate already to drugs, and that's, to me, when I'm already hearing that, I'm like, wow, like, and I honestly, back in high school, just to give a little background about the kid, and may he rest in peace. The kid, I never knew the kid had such a bad drug addiction. I found out he did heroin, he did crack, he did cocaine, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I had actually seen him last summer when I was coming back from the gym, and God forgive me, I am not judging. He did very much look like he did not have himself together.
Acknowledging reality, that's all.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, to the question I want to ask you, with what I had just said, losing a high school classmate already and 3 years already, how would you respond to like how the community or any community within a whole should respond to drugs and with these DARE programs and stuff, oh, don't do drugs, don't do this, sadly they do tend to fail the majority of the time because of the fact, that if these kids, and I hate to say it, they're easily manipulated, they're like, oh, hey, let me try weed. Well, weed is known as the gateway drug, then, I could do any drug. No, you can't do any drug, I hate to tell you, but sorry, just to kind of say it fast. So what would your answer be to the drug and, the opioid epidemic that's been going on within the country?
The opioid epidemic is just one of the many disabling epidemics that's happening in the country. You have the drug epidemic, because we could say opioid, but it's just one of many drugs that people are going toward to feel good. The other one is this gun violence epidemic, particularly with kids and adults just spazzing out and doing these random shootings. I mean, we live in a very, very dark society at this point. The United States has grown so much in so advanced that we are now regressing as human beings. We're hurting each other. We are looking for different ways to not deal with reality, such as drugs, and we're just lashing out on each other. I mean, the other day, this Florida shooting, a 16-year-old kid just spazzed out and shot 17 people.
Correct.
I mean, this is crazy. No other country in this world does that. You cannot go to another country and see rampant drug addiction and mass violence like you see in the United States. And we're supposed to be the quote unquote civilized nation. So when you talk about drug epidemics, go ahead, Michael.
Oh no, just wait one more minute.
When you talk about the drug epidemic, it goes deeper to that. It goes deeper than just the drugs. It goes to who we have become as people in America, and it's a very dark profile that we are displaying now, and it scares me. And I'm a guy that did 24 consecutive years in New York State prison. It scares me the way things are. But that's where we are. Eddie, you want to say something about that?
The final thing I want to say with regard to that is the demoralization of our nation is why these things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's no moral standards with our relationship with Jesus, and that's what it's all pinning to, just in a nutshell. In a nutshell. So the bottom line for me is prayer is one of those things that sustain us. The other thing is understanding where it's come from. As Ernest said, the depths of this goes way back, because from the 70s until now, there's been a drug epidemic And until it has affected the masses that it's doing, it's something that needs to be addressed, and it should have been addressed a long time ago. So, Ernest, thank you.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the lines, and I'm hoping that we won't have problems with this phone because, I tried to answer the phone. Some people called while we were having our interview, and Eddie, I know we just freelanced on your interview, but you'll be back anyway, so it doesn't matter. We look at you as one of the crew, so that's why we just got into a general discussion about certain subjects, and I think that we really needed to touch on the relationship part because that's very important. That's something that we very rarely get to do, and because we had 3 men who married while they were incarcerated, I think that it was a unique opportunity for us to have that discussion. Okay, so we got somebody on the line. Let's see if we can get them through. Voices Beyond the Wall.
Hi, Ernest. This is Sawida.
Sawida, what's going on?
Hi, Mike. And I wanted to say hi to your guest, Eddie, and all the other guests. The show is amazing today, as usual. And I just want to give a quick shout-out before I give my commentary. I want to give a quick shout-out to my husband, sending him the greetings. Assalamu alaikum. I love you, baby. And inshallah, I will see you tomorrow. Wow. Okay, where do I begin? First of all, when I first started listening, you were talking about marriage. Talking about marriage and how the relationship differs, can be tested. No matter what the circumstances are, marriage is work. Marriage is a committed. Okay, hold on. Let me turn my phone down because I'm listening to myself. Marriage to me, has always been like a diamond. You start out, if you look at the shape of a diamond, you start out close. As you grow in the marriage and you start to turn, you have to learn to turn the I's into we's and the me's to us. So as you grow, as a diamond, the shape of a diamond, as you start out, then you kind of grow apart as you start to learn each other. But if you do the work and you build, the diamond starts to come back together at the bottom. So this is, for me, this is what marriage is. My husband, and I love him dearly. My husband knows one of the reasons that I love him the way that I love him is because of his spirituality. And I wanted to just quote 2 verses from the Quran. This is Surah 35, verses 5 and 6. It says, O mankind, verily the promise of Allah is true. So let not this present life deceive you, and let not the chief deceiver, who is the shaitan, the devil, deceive you about Allah, about God, saying that God is, the creator, created man and woman to come together in this beautiful union that we call marriage. And the strong foundation of spirituality is we all have to have something in this life that we fear. Not the fear of man, not the fear of weapon. It's a spiritual belief. And I listen to you brothers on the radio, and I listen to your depth of your spirituality and the connection that you have in your faith. And that is very powerful because that faith is going to be the guide. That faith is going to be, Islam is based on pillars. So I say that faith is amongst the 5 pillars. And our 5 pillars tell us, the belief, the prayer, the fasting, the Hajj, and the charity. So these are the 5 pillars that Islam is based on. And the other verse I want to say is surely Shaitan, the devil, is an enemy to you. So take him as an enemy. He only invites you to the followers that they may become the dwellers of a blazing fire. Kabir and I based our marriage on the fear of God and the fear of going to hell. And that's the bottom line. He's aware of his rights and his duties as a husband. I'm aware of my rights and duties as a wife. And my love for my husband is beyond anything physical because he's in prison. Is beyond anything financial because he is in prison. And although he does what he can do, our marriage right now is based on a line of communication, a belief system that is one of the main reasons I love him the way that I do, because he provides that for me. He is the spiritual strength in my life that makes me a better me. And this is why, and if people always wonder, and we go back to families not being supportive, people not being supportive of a woman marrying a man in prison. And each one of us, our journeys are different, and women have different reasons why they marry men in prison, and it's not just marrying them in prison. I'm just saying that's their condition, that's where they are. But my reasons for choosing my husband was because he was one of the most spiritual and the most calmest. After being in prison 3 decades, he tells me, you have to be calm. You have to trust in Allah. Don't yell, don't holler, don't. And he lives in one of the most hostile environments known. And he's my calm. I'm hollering and screaming at the girls, and he's saying, babe, no, you got to be calm. You got to take your faith, everything you believe and trust in, and apply it to your life. And when I seen that in him, and I said, babe, your condition, my husband has lost several members of his immediate family, mama, grandfather, sister, to violence, to illness, and he has endured all of this, rejection twice at the board. And my husband continues to remain firm in his beliefs and said, Allah knows I'm here. And when he's ready to open them gates for me, he's going to open them. And I said, you know what? And this is what a lot of the women who are devoted to their husbands say. And I'm going to be standing outside that gate waiting for you when he does. The commitment is two-sided. Kabir is very involved in the raising of our daughters. He's not going to start when he comes home. He has to deal with that now. When we go visit, I say, they're yours. Here. You got to deal with them now. You got to talk to them about school. You got to talk to them about life. So he's a dad there just as much as he would be a dad here. So I just wanted to just briefly touch on marriage and saying that it's work. And I want to say congratulations to Eddie, and I want to wish him and his wife blessings of their marriage, and know that as long as his foundation and his belief and him and his wife, the communication, because that's a strength. The communication is the thing that is the most important thing in marriages. Marriage are breaking up because they have lack of communication. So it's very important that two people know each other and they understand what it is that is expected from each party. So on that note, I'm not going to keep you, but I just want to give a shout out to the Muslims, say salam alaikum to the brothers, and say hello, and to the guys in Shawangunk and CSU unit, and know that we appreciate you, Ernest and Mike, and we just this is amazing. Like the show today, it woke me up because I was half asleep, and I said, wow, listen to the show. So it went from one extreme to the next, and I appreciate the commentaries and the information given today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, one more thing, Ernest, I just want to tell the listeners, y'all need to go to this beautiful gift shop on Main Street that Ernest and Kathy has. And I'm going to say this. I went by there, and Ernest spotted me. Like, say, Sweeta, so I turned around, and I'm going, because I seen the shop, but I never went inside. And I went in there, and I told Kabir, I got a catalog, and I circled everything I want. I said, when you get on the ground, you better go in there and buy me everything in this catalog, because I wanted to shop till I dropped. But it is beautiful, and everybody listening, go to the shop, go to the gift shop. It is beautiful, and it's lovely. And congratulations to Ernest and Kathy. It is very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and I'll talk to you guys soon, okay? All right,
Hello,
peace.
Sweeta.
Yes.
Sweeta, thank you very much for your warm greetings.
Thank you.
And for you acknowledging the fact that communication is key to any relationship. And it takes work. And I understand the pain and suffering and sorrow that women deal with on a daily basis with their husbands coming in. So we appreciate all that you're doing for your husband.
Thank
better
you.
understand what he has to do. And the idea
Yes.
of being calm in the midst of the storm is vitally important.
Hmm.
It's vitally important. 33 for me. I'm out on the ground right now, doing what I need to have done. And I worked with Ernest for the last 6 months, and I saw them put that store up and about on November. So I was up
Beautiful.
there as one of the salesmen, so I know what you're talking about. So
Yes,
you have a
it
great
is
day. Thank you,
beautiful.
Sweetie.
Thank you so much. One more thing. I want to just shout out to the women in the struggle.
Yes.
Our event is coming, my sisters, and stay positive, stay strong. Ernest, I do have some of these topics. I'll text them to you. And we got to get this event popping because, yes, the women need an event. And you, to my beloved sisters in the struggle, yes, this is work. It's a test. It's a test of strength, endurance, and patience. And people don't understand that, and this is why the event is going to be important because you need to know that I got your back, and I hope you have my back. And for those of us who have endured it and your husbands are home, congratulations. We love you, and we need some of your strength. We need you to still be a part of us and help us get through what you've gone through and prepare what you have and prepare for what you have now in your life. And if you could give us any insight and any words of wisdom, we definitely appreciate that. So on that note, you all have a beautiful evening, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Suwita.
Peace. You're welcome.
Okay.
Hello, this is WVKR, Voices Beyond the Wall. You're here with Michael Ernest and Eddie Williams.
Brother
and Mike.
Love, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing? Who's calling? You're on the air.
This is Mrs. Tyson.
Oh, hi,
Congratulations, Miss
Mr.
Tyson.
How you doing?
Oh, we're doing well. It's
You
good to hear
sound
your
well.
voice. Good to hear your
Yes,
voice. I know
thank you.
you're doing well, Miss Tyson.
Let me tell you, I'm flying, so thank you. Listen, I'm going to be short. First of all, he sends his love. He sends
Right.
his regard to all of you. He sends his love to the guys at Green Haven. He misses people truly, and he just wants everybody to know that he's doing well, he's on the move, and it's just how it is, It's nice to be enjoying life on this side of things.
Yes.
But what I want to say to you, I want to say it to Ernest, I wanted to say to Eddie, and congratulations to him, of course, and to his wife, because you're welcome. We're going through the same things basically at the same time, but hearing the three of you today it's an inspiration. We have so much of a lack of men who respect the marriage process, the marriage vow, and the marriage relationship. And to hear all of you, and you in particular, Brother Love, because you said some stuff about yourself prior to the days when you were thinking differently to the way you're thinking now.
Yes, ma'am.
And to see that come full circle, it's just a precious thing. And I think that our men out here, they need to listen, not hear. They need to listen to what you're saying. They have a tendency to believe that the grass is greener on the other side. You live in that life, that playboy style, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you call it. I call it foolishness, but that's a whole nother story.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
they see it as, oh, well, I'm a man. It's my rite of passage. And when you hear three seasoned men who are speaking with such honor about their relationships, their wives, it's such a blessing to hear it, because it's one thing that we don't get to hear so much of in this society nowadays, and with so much of the tearing down of women through just so many venues out here, whether it's music, everyday talk, because I live in the city, so I hear some stuff,
Yes,
let me tell you.
That's right.
And it is so disrespectful. And just to hear y'all, I was just like, wow, this is great. I wish Tyson could have been there with y'all, because it would have just been another person added to the uplifting of the process. And I just really appreciate you, and I have to tell you that. and I'm sure that your wives are listening. I know Kathy's over there just grinning from ear to ear, but I know your wives are listening and saying, you know what, that's my husband, and I'm glad that there are at least 4 of us that I know of who can share in that same feeling. And just to add one last thing before I go is this. We have a lot of men, as you have said, who are sitting in places that all of you have just had that experience, and Ernest being the longest one out here on this venue here today, who you've seen the ratchetness that goes on inside, okay? You already know what I'm talking
That's
about.
right.
There's nothing honorable about that.
Not at all.
There's nothing manly about that. There's nothing macho about it. It sends a piss-poor message to who you are as a man, especially if there's a woman who sees you and knows something different about your life. It shows that you have no integrity. It shows that you just don't, you stand on no values. And the strings that are moving in and out, that especially if they don't belong to you, as you have stated so eloquently in what God has given you, it is showing how you just devalue who we are as people. And I won't even get into the subject of what the women do to themselves message-wise without even speaking through their mouths. And what it shows, and that's just like a bigger picture. But I'm just saying, I want to thank you. I thank you for expressing what you've expressed. I thank you for being biblical in your expression, because I think all of us believe what God has said about marriage, and it is true. It is yea and amen. It is the last word, and I have seen personally that when you don't stand on the honor of what God has joined together, He got something waiting for you, and
sure.
you're not going to like it too tough.
That's
Okay?
I'm a
So thank you. And Ernest, I want to say this. I'm so sorry that we could not follow up, especially after this show, with being there like we planned on being there, but you know how that goes too. So we will see you soon. As you know, we did reschedule, but I'm really sorry that we couldn't follow up with this show, because
don't worry about that, because y'all are going to get here.
We're going to get here, but it would have been nice to have your next show behind what you talked about today. It really would have. So,
Ms. Tyson,
but,
before you leave,
so be it. We will see one another, but I want to just say thank you to the 3 of you, and I think you have another guest there.
Yes.
And he made some really good comments also, but the gist of what the 3 of you were speaking about speaks volumes to my heart. I hope that message is resonating with the men across the state, especially, again, to the guys in Greenhaven, because, that's where we have come out of. But I hope everybody listening can just take it and say, wait a minute, even if I'm not doing what's right, let me reconcile myself to God and then to my wife, and then walk uprightly. Okay.
Ms.
Thank
Tyson.
y'all.
Ms. Tyson.
Okay. Have a good one.
Ms. Tyson, hold on for a minute.
Ms. Tyson, hold on for a moment.
Say it again.
Hold on for one moment, please.
Okay.
I thank you for your comments, your sentiments, but as I was in and listening to you talk about your husband often, it gave me inspiration and also gave my wife inspiration. So the mere fact that he's out, and when he did come out, he contacted Ernest immediately, and I was at the job with Ernest. So I saw when y'all got into your little car. little car, and started walking and doing what you had to do. I saw that. So I was overjoyed, because I know what the feeling is to just have it recently happen. So I just want to congratulate you and communicate your life to him, one moment at a time, one day at a time, and the years will roll on. So thank you for what you shared with us today.
And you're very welcome, and I appreciate you, and thank you also. Let me just say something about the little car. A lot of people don't know. It was something that I wanted to do for a very long time, and I was very determined that, of course, when you step out, you're definitely not going to step out the way you went in. And it was important to me not because of the thing that the car was, but because, you know what, it's a new time, it's a new life, and you deserve to do things in a new and a different way. And if God has granted you this grace and this mercy to begin on a new foot, then you're going to begin it like the king that I feel that you are.
Amen.
And that's what I could do, and that's what I did.
Amen.
Okay?
Yes.
So
Amen.
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So we'll talk soon, and have a good rest of the afternoon. Enjoy the Sunday, and my love goes to all of your wives, too.
Thank you, Miss Tyson.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Okay. All right. So let's read some. Yeah, just.
No, that's right.
Let's read some letters. We got this is just read page 1 of that.
Okay. We can do that.
Until the next call comes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this letter is from a brother named William. William Barnes is from writing for Shawanga Correctional Facility. And he says, Dear Voices Beyond the Wall, there's a new change of the New York State Parole Board practice per parole board commissioners to perfect their regulated guidelines, to prohibit the past discretionary abuse that was stimulated from former Governor George Pataki. During the former Governor Pataki regime's commissioners enforcing excessive parole holds, the Tough on Crime bill that put former Governor Pataki in office administrations stimulated the parole board commissioners during that era to function as a political genocide, to break a will of a person and destroy any level of humanity existed for committing a crime in the past. During my interim of prison incarceration, I've been invoked by the surroundings of others that failed in society, whom had a chance of parole that provided me a new attitude, belief, and expectation in life to stay out of prison. I've educated myself through college and spirituality that became my daily tool to survive the technicalities, adversities, and outside forces. I learned to manage whatever circumstances may be with me or on the outside surroundings. Now, after 39 years of a 20 to life sentence, I'm only eager to put on a pair of shoes, jeans, and cotton shirt and be responsible through continuing the daily practice of the durability of my journey of occupation to emerge health. I guess it means emerge healthy, wealthy, and prosperity with consistency. And a lot of looking back, I only blame myself, getting caught up in the prison life of making a choice, which had been invoked to make a change for the better. However, I'm a very remorseful person due to my past actions, but I can say I am not the person of the past. Respectfully, William Barnes.
Okay. And we got another one. Another letter. This one here is from Steve at Fishkill Correctional Facility. Yeah, Steve Garofalo. Now, Steve has been down for over 30 years, and he is, wow, what am I saying? He's in his 43rd year of incarceration, and it goes, Dear Ernest and Mike, good afternoon. I just wanted to touch bases with the both of you and give you a shout out to the Voice Beyond the Wall listeners. Please extend my immense gratitude, especially to the advocacy team on the front line, because their efforts are definitely making a difference. Amen. Ernest and Mike, if you guys don't mind, bestow my congratulations to Tyson and his wife on their endeavor to earn his liberty. Though I never personally met Tyson, I want what I consistently heard over the years from numerous men, he is one of the ones. Tyson enjoyed life every day to the fullest, beloved. I regrettably and shamefully entered my 43rd year of incarceration on January 2nd, 2018. There was a hodgepodge of pertinent inspection and retrospection taking place. During this period of reflection, I received notice that I was denied special parole consideration a definitive blow to the solar plex. Then I turned on to Voices Beyond the Wall, and you guys gave me a shout out. Excuse me. Taking me out of my state of reverence. Excuse me. It genuinely reverie. Excuse me. It generally was gratifying to be acknowledged in this candidate of unremembers and malfeasance. I should let Mike read these letters. Malfeasance. The edifying and optimistic words that transmitted from my ancient radio eradicated the pathos I was suffering while changing the ambiance of the dorm. The words facilitated by the both of you always display care and concern for the brothers and sisters still in manacles. Although with an openness to dialogue with people of all backgrounds and belief is widely respected, you have no idea how proud I am of both of you. Voices Beyond the Wall truly cultivated a unique niche for stimulating meaningful and purposeful dialogue, ensuing the broadcast for days, which moves us away from the symmetrical, toxic prison cynicalism. I contribute this to the hopes of our advocate provide us while on the air. This recently liberated brothers and sisters that called in and the loved ones that shared, like Tyson's wife, their support and strength over the air, plus the wealth of information you drop upon us. That combination empowers us emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically to stay the course while presenting the OT brothers and sisters the opportunity to old-timers, OT brothers and sisters the opportunity to reach you. Thank you for sacrificing your day to touch our lives with the gift of normalcy and reality. The successful narratives we hear turn our ancient radios into smartphones. Voices Beyond the Wall is my bi-monthly for my otherwise Groundhog's Days, and an event is only bad if we fail to become better because of it. Out of the struggle of the now, we will create the human world. And Steve, I got your letter, and I'm going to put that together this week, and I'll send you a copy. Thank you for the former parole commissioner on agent and changer. We'll read that probably the next show. Hold on, we got a caller on the line. Voices Beyond the Wall. This is Ernest. You're on there.
Hello, Ernest. It's Mrs. M. How are you?
Hey, Mrs. M. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Mike. So I didn't listen to the show today. I actually was just... I was cooking, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's today? I said, oh, no, the show.
All right.
So I missed the show. I heard, I got the end part of Sawita, and I heard Mrs. Tyson, and I'm gathering it had something to do with marriage.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of things. Marriage was one of the things that we spoke about. But what do you want to say about marriage? Why don't you tell us something about marriage that you can share with us?
Well, I'm married to the love of my life.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
Absolutely. The love of my life. We were childhood sweethearts. And, it's life took us down this path, and here we are, and I support him and encourage him, and, we give each other strength through this hard time, but there's not one day ever that I ever think that I would want to be anywhere else but beside him.
All right. That's a beautiful thing.
Just going through, you know, whatever we have to go through. Marriage is a commitment, and when you say I do, through the good times and the bad and sickness and health, I meant it. I meant it then. I still mean it today. Wherever we are in this journey called life, I'm gonna have his back, just like he has mine.
All right, that's a beautiful thing.
I'm sure there's plenty of women out there. You know, I do meet some of them, like Mrs. Tyson, who you know, stands by her husband, and Sawita. I've never had the opportunity to meet her personally, but she goes hard for her husband, and I so respect that. I respect the women that I see going through this struggle who stand by their husbands faithfully. You know, there's, like Mrs. Tyson said, there's always the ratchetness, and that's both-sided. But there are some of us who you know, stand firm in our commitment.
One of the things that we want to do, Mrs. M, we want to get you and Sawita together because, you know, we've been talking about getting all of you guys, or as many of you as possible, together, the wives and the girlfriends. And what we want to do, we want to create a forum for you guys up in Poughkeepsie.
Yes.
We're going to get a venue, and we're going to get some food. And the only thing that we would like you guys to do is to create a format, a program as to what you're going to talk about and how long you're going to talk. And I'm pretty sure that I could get Eddie and Mike to get up there and tell you guys things from a man's perspective, and put them on stage so all of the women could just throw questions at them that they could answer. So I think that would be a great thing. I think that would be a
good thing. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a great thing, and also Mrs. Tyson and maybe
no doubt,
Eddie's
we got
wife.
Mrs. Tyson in there too.
Absolutely, maybe Eddie's wife and Mike Love's wife, that they can speak from a different side. They went through this.
Now we're gonna get all of you guys
and now
up
their
there.
husbands are home, and Kathy.
Of course.
You guys are home, and it's different. The relationship changes.
Well,
it's a whole different animal once you're home and you cohabitating. and I'm sure. I mean, when my husband was out in the world, things are great, and one day they will be again. And but I think that other women need to hear that and know, that they're not alone, and that they have people who are going through the same things that they're going through, and we have to keep each other strong.
Right. So what I want to do is I want to give your contact to Sawita so you guys could start on the process.
Yeah, no problem. Kathy has all of my contact information.
Okay, I'm going to give it to her.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So
cool.
you wanna give a shout out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to my husband M at Greenhaven. Baby, I love you with all my heart. And, this is the path we on right now, and we just going to keep doing what we got to do to get you home, and it will happen. I love you, and I will never lose hope and never lose faith. And to all the fellas at Greenhaven, you're in my prayers. Big shout-out to all of you. Keep your heads up. Don't get discouraged. Don't let them break you. And to all my sisters in this struggle, keep your heads up. Stay strong. And, we're here for you. We got to, get together and keep each other strong. We're not alone in this.
All right. Thank you for calling in.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Peace. Peace. Okay. Eddie, give us a comment, brother.
The idea of the women getting together is quite important. I have had stressed that to my wife oftentimes. One of the things that I realize is that they don't have any support system on the outside. The greatest support that we have on the inside for the men is that we talk to each other about our wives, our circumstances, and our situations. When things aren't going right, we find an area where we can evolve to have those discussions about how we need to care about our wives, how we need to support them. opposed to retracting and running away from them. So I just love the opportunity to do that. And with this idea of Ernest has been talking to me for the last 6 months, and you guys getting together to do that would enhance the relationship and the understanding of what we go through on the inside. We have a great support system on the inside, believe it or not.
This is WVKF Voices Beyond the Wall. You're on the air with Michael, Ernest, Eddie, and Michael De Niro. Who's calling?
Peace and blessing. This is James from South Kakalaki. How you doing?
We're doing fine, James. Good to hear from you, brother.
Oh, yeah. It's good to hear from you guys, too, man. I didn't come in until late into the program, about 4:30. I had so much that I had to do here at the house, man. But I only gave you 30 minutes of listening time, but what I heard was pretty awesome. So thank you, and thank your guests that you had there today. It was a beautiful conversation, man.
Thank you very much, Brother James. What would you like
Yes,
to
sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, what I want to do is give a shout-out to the brothers out there in Warkill. Also, I would like to give a shout-out to all the brothers and all the sisters that are incarcerated. You know, just develop your strength, you know, and also allow God to guide you and lead you, and you'll never go wrong. So I like to do that. But also, as you already know, I got a poem that I want to recite, too.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is something by a brother by the name of Angelo, man. And when I had read it, man, I was very struck by it because it had a lot of purpose and meaning to it. So I'm going to read this for a minute. It's called Be Thankful, as I said. Be thankful that you didn't already have everything that you desire. If you did, what would there be? What would there be to look forward to? Be thankful when you don't know something, for it gives you the opportunity to learn. Be thankful for the difficult times. During those times, you grow. Be thankful for your limitations because they give you the opportunities for improvement. Be thankful for your mistakes. They will teach you valuable lessons. Be thankful when you're tired and weary because it means you have made a difference. It's easy to be thankful for the good things. A life of rich fulfillment comes to those who are also thankful for the setbacks. Find a way to be thankful for your troubles, and they can become your blessings. I just want to say peace and blessings, blessings and peace, and thank you for the moment for giving me this opportunity to recite this poem and to give a shout out to the brothers and the sisters beyond the wall. Greenhaven, all you guys, man, Warkill, wherever you at. God bless you, God keep you, God nourish you, and God keep you strong. Peace.
Peace. Thank you, Brother James. So there's Brother James from Kakalaki. We're back focusing on this issue of relationships, marriages. You know, that resonates with people because everybody lives in relationship to something or someone. And our lives are defined by the constellations of relationships. And if one of those relationships are missing for whatever reason, it's like there's an empty space in our heart. You know, someone that you love, you lose your moms, you lose your wife, under whatever reason that might be. You know what I'm saying? It leaves a void in your life that's hard to fill, if ever. So marriages, under prison, a lot of people castigate that, Mike. For understandable reasons. You hear me? For understandable reasons. You know what I'm saying? Some people feel like if you're doing time, you're there to be punished, so you shouldn't be happy. There should be no ray of happiness for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the retributive model. You know what I'm saying? Just punishment. You know what I'm saying? Other people feel, well, you know, marriage can't really work like that in circumstances because the guy or the person who's incarcerated can't reciprocate on that level. He can't help pay the bills. He can't be there, so he becomes like a baby that his spouse has to come and take care of. You know what I'm saying? With visits, with packages and things like that. So there's a whole spectrum of discourse about these kind of marriages, you know, which have provoked different feelings from different people. But there are marriages that have stood all that. And a lot of them, the guys are out here now living well, and the husband and wife becomes assets in their communities and their families. And so, in other words, all the naysayers, what they said didn't matter because these marriages working. Now, if it's a relationship that didn't work, then it might seem that what the naysayers said was legitimate. You know what I'm saying? But I look at it this way: rather in society or rather out. There's marriages that work, there are marriages that don't. 50% of all marriages in the United States end in divorce. I don't know if you know that.
Personally, I never actually, I don't really look at that statistic between divorce. I know the divorce rate, I believe, is a lot higher than the marriage rate. Like, I think couples don't even stay together for so long until they're like, yeah, I'm done. Like, hey, I mean, listen, it does sound crazy in a way because and to those, because obviously this is the beyond the wall, so this is the prison system. I'm not here. Obviously, we're all not here to talk about the outside, like, oh, my husband worked the business field and this and that. But to those who are in the prison system, man, woman, I just think, obviously they've been told so many times, oh, hold your head up, hold your head up. Yeah, you can hold your head up, but they need that guidance. They need to. Well, I wouldn't per se say hold their hand, but they need that right guidance to say, you know what, your husband or wife, that's in jail, you need to learn to have time, respect, and patience, just as you build it for building that bond and relationship. Like that that one woman, and my apologies if I had forgotten your name, the one with the childhood, the childhood friends going into marriage. Like, honestly, that does say a lot because I've had, of course, relationships with girls, they've worked out, they haven't, whatever cases, but I feel like what touches me more is that the fact that your husband or wife is in jail/prison, and you two are still holding it, because a lot of people wouldn't really say, oh, I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going to, honestly, it's just, I think it's honestly, and also what I think a big thing is that, obviously also peer influence, among the community, whether, your family says, or your friends say, oh, like, nice job, you have this guy now who's in jail and stuff. Personally, it's sad, to see when people have to start pushing you, and I think also a lot of people within this world don't have a sense of their own, own self-realization. And if you want my opinion to self-realization has to come in within yourself and start saying, you know what, I need to learn to stop listening to people. I have to listen to my heart and my head. And remember, it is also all psychological. So you need to be psychologically more aware of the things that, go on throughout your life. It's not fair to enforce those rules or that negative energy among others who, don't want to give up. So
that's a good point, Mike De Niro. Appreciate that. Right now, we're going to go to special station identification. Rosella, would you please hold on for a minute? We'll be right with you.